गुड मॉर्निंग स्टूडेंट्स। आज हम तुम्हें टाइप ऑफ फ्रिक्शन के बारे में बताएंगे। जैसा कि पता है कि फ्रिक्शन जो है वो उसके 3 टाइप्स होते हैं। एक है स्टैटिक फ्रिक्शंस, एक है स्लाइडिंग फ्रिक्शंस और एक है रोलिंग फ्रिक्शंस। बट स्टैटिक फ्रिक्शन का एक स्पेशल केस है जिसको हम लोग लिमिटिंग फ्रिक्शन के रूप में जानते हैं, जिसको भी शॉर्ट में डिस्कस करेंगे। फर्स्ट हम लोग स्टैटिक फ्रिक्शंस के बारे में जानें। स्टैटिक फ्रिक्शन का डेफिनेशन क्या है? द फ्रिक्शनल फोर्स बिटवीन द एनी टू ऑब्जेक्ट्स when one object just rests over the surface of the other object is called a static friction. As we have said that in a friction it is an essential condition that the interaction between the two body must be present there. So here you see that the surface of the one object interact with the surface of the another object and then the resistance produced. So here the definition says that when one body, like this is one body on which we kept another body, and when it is in rest, then it is in rest because of the presence of the friction, and that friction is called a static friction. It means a body when it is in rest on another object, that is called a static friction. But when it is rest unless when the applied force and the frictional force both are same. But when we applied more force on it, slight, when we increase the applied force on it, we see that it start to slide. So at this moment, when a body is in a special case, when a body is in rest, but a slight change in the applied force, it will start to move. That type of friction is called a limiting frictions. So limiting friction is a special type of a static friction in which the value of the static friction is maximum, because on that position when we change slight applied force, then we see that the body is start to move. So this is about the limiting friction. Limiting friction is a static friction, but at this moment the static friction is maximum. So it is all about the limiting friction. Now we come to the second one, sliding frictions. We see that sliding friction, the frictional force present when one object moves slowly or slide over the surface of the another object is called a sliding friction. It means when one body moves on another body slowly, then at that time the friction between the two surfaces is there, and that type of friction is called sliding friction. So this is the concept of the sliding friction. That's why here we again repeat the definition. The frictional force present when one object moves slowly over the surface of the another object. Here you see this is one of the object and on which we kept another object, and we see that it gradually moves on that second surface of the object. It means here the friction is present and that friction is called a sliding friction. But that the value of that friction, sliding friction, is less than the value of the static friction, because on the static friction we see that the value of the frictional force is more, but on a sliding friction we have a need of less applied force to overcome that friction. That's why the value of the sliding friction is less than the static friction. Now third one is here a rolling friction. We see that many example of the rolling friction. You see that the wheels of the different objects like luggage, like many types of the gari, by which we can pulling it, and it is very easily coming towards us. We exert a very less amount of the force, but we see that the large heavier object very easily coming slowly one surface to the another surface, and that is because of the presence of the rolling friction. So rolling friction is what? When an object wheels rolls over the surface of the another object, the resistance to its motion is called a rolling friction. Like that, if we pull the object if we pull the object, then there is a friction, and that friction is a sliding friction. But when we kept a pen here and on which we put the object and then we try to push that object, then we see that it is too easy. It is too easy because that object rolls over that wheels and it moves very easily by applying, in spite of that, it has a heavier object, but it moves very easily because of the presence of that wheels, and that wheels provides a rolling frictions. So the rolling friction is a very important for our day-to-day activities. Many of the objects that works very easily on that because of the rolling friction. So this is all about the type of the friction. So one thing I want to say all of you, because the time is going very fastly, and we all are involved in a online learning, so all of you must learn very eagerly and very patiently, because you have an aim that you must be obtained in the life. So for that you honestly work hard and get your optimum goal. Thank you.